Hi, I'm Amelia. Today I'm going to tell you my story, but before I continue, please share and subscribe to hear more stories like this. You know, they always say that your wedding day is supposed to be the happiest day of your life. Mine was actually pretty great. The problem came after, and not from my husband, but from the woman who was supposed to love me most in this world. I met Daniel at a community fundraiser 3 years ago. He'd moved from Mexico to the States when he was 16, got his green card through his employer after college, and was working as an architectural engineer. We hit it off immediately. Sophie, my best friend since high school, noticed it first. We were at the dessert table when she nudged me. "That guy hasn't stopped looking at you for 20 minutes, she whispered, the one with the blue tie. "Which one?" I asked, casually scanning the room. "Don't be obvious. By the fountain display. Tall, dark hair. He designed the community center renovation." I glanced over and caught his eye. He smiled, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. "Go talk to him," Sophie urged. "What's the worst that could happen? I make a fool of myself in front of the entire fundraising committee? Or you meet someone amazing. Come on, you've been single since that disaster with Trevor." "Fine," I said, straightening my dress. "But if this goes badly, you're buying me ice cream for a week." I never had to collect on that ice cream. Daniel and I talked for hours that night, and he asked for my number before we left. One date led to another, and soon we were inseparable. My mother, Vivian, wasn't thrilled from day one. She always had a certain vision for my life, and it didn't include falling in love with someone who wasn't born in the United States. "I just don't understand the rush," she said over lunch, 3 months into my relationship. We were sitting at her favorite bistro, the one she insisted on meeting at every other Sunday. "You barely know him." "I know him better than you think, Mom," I replied, pushing my salad around. "We spend almost every day together." "And what do you really know about his background? His family?" "I've met his sister Maria when she visited from California. His parents are planning to visit next month." "How convenient that they're so far away," she muttered. "What is that supposed to mean?" "Nothing, darling. I just worry about you." "No, you don't like that he's Mexican." "That is not true," she huffed. But the slight flush in her cheeks told me I'd hit a nerve. "I would feel the same about anyone you rushed into a relationship with." "We're not rushing. And Daniel is an amazing man who treats me with respect and kindness. I wish you could see that." "I just hope you know what you're getting yourself into," she said, signaling for the check. Despite my mother's disapproval, our relationship flourished. Daniel proposed on our second anniversary, and we planned a small wedding for the following spring. My mother's resistance only intensified. "He could be using you for citizenship," she said one evening while helping me address invitations. "It happens all the time." "Mom, he already has his green card. He doesn't need me for that." "Green cards can be revoked. Marriage is more permanent." "I can't believe you'd say that," I said, putting down the envelopes. "You don't even know him." "I'm just looking out for your interests," she replied stiffly. "Someone has to." The tension came to a head the week before the wedding. My mother and I were finalizing some details with the wedding planner when Daniel's name came up. "Is there any special accommodation we need for the groom's family?" asked Tara, our planner. Before I could answer, my mother chimed in. "They're not coming. Very convenient, isn't it?" "Mom," I hissed. "What?" "It's strange that his entire family is absent. His parents are elderly and his father just had surgery. His sister is 8 months pregnant. We've been over this." "Tara, would you excuse us for a moment?" My mother smiled tightly. When Tara stepped away, I turned to my mother. "This has to stop. I'm trying to protect you, Amelia. This whole relationship feels off." "The only thing off is your behavior. If you can't support me, maybe you shouldn't come to the wedding." Her eyes widened. "You can't mean that." "I do. I love Daniel, and we're getting married. Either accept that or don't come." She backed down after that, or so I thought. She was perfectly pleasant at the rehearsal dinner, even making a toast that seemed genuinely warm. At the wedding, she dabbed at her eyes during our vows. I actually believed she'd finally accepted us. Our honeymoon was magical. 2 weeks in Costa Rica, hiking through rainforests, relaxing on beaches, and falling even more in love. We returned home sun-kissed and happy, ready to start our life together. 3 days after we got back, the doorbell rang early in the morning. Daniel answered while I was making coffee. "Amelia?" he called, his voice tight with confusion. "There are people here asking for you." I walked into our living room to find two stern-faced immigration officers standing there. "Mrs. Rodriguez?" the woman asked, checking her badge. "I'm Officer Martinez with Immigration and Customs Enforcement. We need to speak with you privately." "What's this about?" Daniel asked, moving to stand beside me. "Sir, we need to speak with your wife alone," the male officer insisted. "Whatever you need to say, you can say in front of my husband," I replied, grabbing Daniel's hand. Officer Martinez sighed. "We've received a report that you're being coerced in this marriage and that Mr. Rodriguez is planning to force you to leave the country against your will." My mouth fell open. "What?" "That's absolutely not true. The report was quite detailed," she continued. "It claimed that you appeared distressed after returning from your honeymoon and that Mr. Rodriguez has been controlling your movements and communications." "That's ridiculous," I sputtered. "Who would say such a thing?" The officers exchanged glances. "We're not at liberty to disclose our sources, but it was someone concerned for your welfare." It clicked immediately. It was my mother, wasn't it? Their faces gave nothing away, but I knew. This had Vivian written all over it. "Mrs. Rodriguez, would you be willing to come down to our office to make a statement?" Officer Martinez asked. "Of course," I said firmly. "And I want it on record that my husband has never coerced me in any way, and these allegations are completely false." Daniel looked shell-shocked. "I don't understand why anyone would say these things." "I do," I muttered. The next few weeks were a nightmare. The investigation hung over us like a cloud. Daniel was questioned repeatedly. His employer was contacted. His immigration status was scrutinized. All because my mother couldn't accept that I'd married a man she didn't approve of. I called Sophie in tears after a particularly grueling day at the immigration office. "I can't believe she would do this," I sobbed into the phone. "She's trying to destroy my marriage." "This is a whole new level even for Vivian," Sophie agreed. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet, but I'm done with her. Completely done." "Have you confronted her?" "No, she's been calling and texting like nothing happened, acting concerned about why I haven't been in touch." "You need to call her out on this, Amelia." "I will, but first, I need to make sure Daniel is protected." I contacted an immigration attorney the next day. Jake, Daniel's brother who worked as a paralegal in California, flew in to help us. "This is serious," Jake said as we sat in the attorney's office. "False reports to immigration can lead to permanent problems with his status." "Can we prove my mother made the report?" I asked. "If we can, she could face charges for filing false claims," our attorney, Miss Reynolds, explained. "But that's not our primary concern right now. We need to clear Daniel's name first." After the meeting, Jake pulled me aside in the parking lot. "Daniel won't say it, but this is really affecting him," he said quietly. "He's worried about his job, his future here." "I know," I whispered. "I'm so sorry. This is all my mother's fault." "What are you going to do about her?" "Make her regret ever interfering in my life." That night, I formed a plan. My mother had always been obsessed with her social standing and reputation. Her friends and social circle meant everything to her, and she'd spent years cultivating an image of the perfect mother-daughter relationship between us. "I need your help," I told Sophie over coffee the next day. "And it might get messy." "I'm in," she replied without hesitation. "What's the plan?" "We're going to expose who my mother really is. Not just to me, but to everyone who matters to her." The annual charity gala for the hospital board, where my mother served as a prominent member, was coming up in 2 weeks. It was the social event of the season, and my mother had been on the planning committee for months. First, I called my Aunt Linda, my mother's sister. They had a complicated relationship, but Linda had always been kind to me. "Aunt Linda, it's Amelia. I need to talk to you about Mom." "What's she done now?" Linda sighed. Something unforgivable, I said, and explained the situation. There was a long silence before Linda spoke. I wish I could say I'm surprised. Your mother has always been controlling, but this crosses a line. I need your help. I want everyone to know what she did. Count me in, Linda replied. What do you need? With Linda's help, I gathered evidence of my mother's interference, screenshots of her texts bad-mouthing Daniel to family members, emails where she'd tried to convince people not to attend our wedding, and finally, confirmation from a friend who worked at the immigration office that it was indeed my mother who had filed the report. The night of the gala arrived. My mother had been texting me all week, asking why I hadn't RSVP'd, wondering if everything was okay. I hadn't responded to a single message. Daniel and I arrived at the event looking our best. My mother's face when she saw us walk in was a picture of confusion and alarm. Amelia! Daniel! She exclaimed, hurrying over. I've been so worried about you. Why haven't you returned my calls? Hello, Vivian, I said coldly. Her face fell at my use of her first name. Darling, what's wrong? I think you know exactly what's wrong. Not here, she hissed, glancing around at her friends nearby. Let's talk privately. Actually, I think here is perfect, I replied loudly enough that heads turned. I want all your friends to hear what kind of person you really are. Amelia, please. You called immigration on my husband, I stated clearly. You lied and said he was forcing me to leave the country against my will. Gasps echoed around us, my mother's face drained of color. That's not true, she stammered. It is true, came a voice from behind her. Aunt Linda stepped forward. And it's not the first time you've tried to control Amelia's life through manipulation and lies. Linda, this doesn't concern you, my mother snapped. It concerns all of us who care about Amelia, Sophie said, joining us. You've been bad-mouthing Daniel to anyone who would listen since they started dating. I was protecting my daughter. From what, Mom? I demanded. From happiness? From a man who loves me? Or was it just because he doesn't fit your narrow view of who I should be with? By now, a small crowd had gathered. I could see the hospital board president watching with concern. Do you have any idea what you've done? I continued, my voice breaking. Daniel could have lost his job. His status in this country could have been revoked. All because you couldn't stand that I made a choice you didn't approve of. I never meant. Yes, you did, I cut her off. You meant to break us up. You meant to send him away. You just didn't expect me to find out it was you. Vivian, is this true? Asked Margaret, the board president. Did you file a false report with immigration? My mother looked around desperately, seeing the shocked and disapproving faces surrounding her. It was a misunderstanding, she tried weakly. It was a deliberate attempt to destroy my marriage, I corrected. And it's over, Mom. We're over. I don't want you in my life anymore. You don't mean that, she pleaded. You're my daughter. Not anymore, I said firmly. Daniel and I are moving to California to be near his family, people who actually support our relationship and respect our choices. You can't do this to me, she whispered. You did this to yourself. I turned and walked away, Daniel's hand firm in mine. Behind us, I could hear the murmurs spreading through the crowd, the shock and disapproval directed at my mother. Over the next few weeks, the fallout was swift. My mother was asked to resign from the hospital board. Her social invitations dried up. Her so-called friends, who had always secretly found her controlling nature distasteful, finally had an excuse to distance themselves. Daniel's immigration case was officially closed with no adverse findings, thanks to our attorney and the evidence we'd gathered of my mother's false report. True to our word, we moved to California. Daniel's architectural firm had an office in San Diego, and he transferred smoothly. I found a teaching position at a local school. We bought a small house near the beach, far away from my mother's toxic influence. She tried to contact me a few months later. An email, then a letter, finally a tearful voicemail. Amelia, please, her message begged. I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I was wrong about Daniel. Please forgive me. I've lost everything. My position, my friends. I can't lose you too. I deleted the message without responding. Sophie flew out to visit us that summer. We sat on our deck overlooking the ocean, sipping wine and watching the sunset. Your mother called me, she said cautiously. She's a mess, Amelia. That's not my problem, I replied. She seems genuinely sorry. She's sorry she got caught and faced consequences. If her plan had worked and Daniel had been deported, do you think she'd be sorry then? Sophie shook her head. Probably not, but she is your mother. Biology doesn't excuse what she did, I said firmly. Some betrayals can't be forgiven. We found out a year later that my mother had sold her house, the one I'd grown up in, and moved to Florida. Apparently, the social fallout in our hometown had been too much to bear. She'd lost everything she valued: her status, her reputation, her social circle, and most importantly, her daughter. Daniel and I are happy now. We're expecting our first child, a daughter. My mother doesn't know. She never will. Some people think family should always be forgiven, that blood ties trump all other considerations. But I disagree. When someone shows you who they are through their actions, especially actions designed to hurt the people you love, believing them is the only sane response. My mother made her choice, and I made mine. So, I have a question for all of you watching. If someone you loved tried to destroy your relationship with your partner, could you ever forgive them? Or do some betrayals cut too deep for second chances? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.